Hello, everybody. It's Friday night and it's Weekender time once again. And on this week's show, Ben, Justin, Free join me in remembering the Alamo through our Indie of the Week. We also check out a whole host of gaming news that's caught our eyes over the last 7 days. On top of all of that, one lucky viewer will get a chance to win a copy of the Bolt Action Island Assault Starter Set from store.ontabletop.com. To be able with a chance to win, you need to be a subscriber to the channel. Pop a comment below, and if you can ding the dong, like us, share us, and all that good stuff, that would be amazing as well. Otherwise, sit back and relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello everybody, look at us all back again for another week's worth of gaming news and updates. How have you all been keeping? You know, having a wonderful time, have you?
Not too bad.
It's wonderful. The sun is shining, nothing to complain about, Jerry.
Except for the fact that the sun's shining. And it's hot as hell.
That's all right. I stay in my room with my fan going and my blacklight curtains closed, so you know, it's the best way. It's the best way. But speaking of black, we have Blackwind has been announced via the medium of the Internet's for Infinity, Ben.
Yeah, so this is the new battle pack that is up for pre-order at the moment from the folks at Corvus Belli. Operation Blackwind sort of takes things in a new direction for Infinity CodeOne, which everyone will know is the kind of pared down version of Infinity that you can dive into and get started with. It's not quite as complicated and complex as the normal Infinity N4, so it's a great entry point into the Infinity universe. Operation Blackwind will have you taking on the role of either the Aleph, which is pretty awesome, or Haqqislam in a new set that comes with everything you need to get started. So you've got your terrain, you've got your rules, you've got everything you need to get started in Infinity and having fun with it. This obviously means some fancy new miniatures for both the Aleph and the Haqqislam as well. If anyone doesn't know about sort of Infinity and the different factions, these are really, really good sort of starting points for these because they give you a little bit of a breakdown on the lore and everything as well, which is really cool. The Aleph are amazingly awesome. Sort of lots of very highfalutin, cyberpunky, high sci-fi stuff going on there, bringing back people from kind of legendary history, which is very cool.
Alien geneticists.
So, exactly, nice. Throw some Achilles in there, you know, Helen of Troy is one of the new miniatures that's come out for them as well, which is very nice. And as you can see there,
Haqqislam, you've got Saladin.
Exactly as well, yeah. And there's also the leader of this force looks a lot like The Rock, which is pretty cool. So if you're interested in picking up Haqqislam, then there's definitely something there for you to dive into and have fun with. This obviously has come as part of Operation Blackwind Week from the folks at Corvus Belli, where they have been putting together a series of different videos for you to dive into and have fun with. So they've done their typical things where Carlos has sat down and gone through the unboxing of the miniatures, as he always does in his unique style. In addition to some background videos talking about the lore, they've also discussed the concept art and sort of taking it from, you know, the artist stage through to renders and then onto the next sort of the miniatures and all that kind of thing as well, which is very cool. And there's even more to come out throughout the rest of the week. By the time you're watching this, all of the videos should be out there for you to dive into and have fun with, including the battle report and all kinds of things like that too. You can dive over onto their web store, as you can see here, to get your hands on the Gen Con bundle, as well as individual components if you would like. So you can either pick up just Operation Blackwind by itself, as you can see here, which comes with the two forces and everything else you need to dive in and have fun with the game. Or you can pick up the Gen Con bundle itself, which comes with loads of additional free miniatures. So you get a Dire Foes pack for Infinity N4, which is very cool. So that's based around the idea of doing kind of scenario-based play, where you've got two characters that you need to defend or protect and all that kind of thing, which is nice. But then you've also got the Helen of Troy exclusive miniature. And also there is the Pandora miniature that comes with the pre-order bundle as well. And she's carrying a box, and nothing bad happens with, you know, when you've got Pandora and box in the same sentence.
No, nothing. No, unheard of, Ben.
Yeah, well, you know, it did contain hope. If I remember correctly.
Yeah,
that's, you know.
That's
always a good thing.
gorgeous.
The Helm of Troy is stunning. Model.
That's
amazing
a beautiful
miniatures.
model.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. So Hackislam in thieving all round them.
Yeah.
For the
is
Helen
the,
of Troy, does she launch 1,000 spaceships?
She might do if Hackislam get out of the place with whatever it is they've stolen from that research station.
Yeah.
And I have to say 1,000 spaceships from the elf is probably going to hurt somebody an awful lot. Really nice looking packs of stuff. I like the Dire Foes set because it's 3 hackers essentially, one for each faction plus a neutral, so you can play out a little narrative scenario about trying to get your hands on the whatever it was that was stolen from that facility. Let's face it.
History.
The other thing that's really nice about these as well is that while this is the introduction again for people to dive into CodeOne and playing the game with these factions and the slightly more pared down rules, all of these work with N4. So if you do play N4 and you just want some fancy new miniatures, there's nothing stopping you picking up Blackwind and picking it up for yourself, because all the tables, the like little map that they've got in the set is set up for regular games of Infinity. All the terrain is appropriate for the game as well. So it's perfect for if you're playing CodeOne, getting started, or if you're just a fan of N4 in general. So very cool.
There's stunning looking figures. I may have to pick up Helen of Troy.
It's very pretty. It's very, very pretty.
It's very cool.
I've got Achilles.
I
I don't do elf, but I like the models, so
she
might be a nice bookend for him.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Anyway, enough of that. But yeah, if you're interested, you can go to the Infinity Hub over on tabletop.com, and we'll have links to all the relevant videos, articles that pop out over the next week anyway.
We've been hosting it all there, so you can go and check it out. And then there's full links to everything you need from the Gen Con bundles. I think there's also options for you to go and pick it up from Wayland as well, which is pretty cool. So if you're looking to pick that up from the Wayland Game Store, if you're over here in the UK, you can do that as well, which is nice.
And if you're out and about in the rest of the world, check your local
FOGs.
Yeah, your local game store, because most of the bundles these days can be gotten via them as well.
Yep.
So
very cool. Yeah.
So you're not going to miss out on the delightful little Helm and Pandora figure.
No.
Just because you're far away in the world. Excellent stuff. No Warren this week. Nobody did be deafened.
No, not this week.
Madness, I say. But we are about to kick into the most important part of the week. It is, of course, our Indie of the Week. And this week is a rather small, bespoke, a niche. A niche of a niche of a niche little indie, as is my want in life sometimes.
Like it fits right in the pigeonhole.
Well, I have been kicking around looking at cowboys and Indians recently for Dead Man's Hand. And I was also, because I couldn't find Dead Man's Hand because I've hidden it apparently on myself.
But it's somewhere safe,
placed it somewhere completely logical, completely safe. The safest location.
100% safe. So tomorrow we're meant to be playing Dead Man's Hand at the club. So I've told people to come down and play Dead Man's Hand. That may not be happening now, but I dusted off. I was dusting off my Legends of the Old West.
Nice.
As an alternative for cowboys and Indians. And the Alamo book, which is what I picked up on spec because I wasn't really interested in the Mexican War of Independence or the Revolutionary War of Texas, but it had rules in it for a couple of other ranges for posses of mountain men. It also had big mass battle rules in it as well, which the other Legends books didn't have. And so I got thinking, going, that was then. Now things have changed. Things have moved on. I'm different. We're all different. We've all passed a lot of water since then. Maybe I'd be interested in doing some sort of Alamo-like stuff and doing some the Texas Wars. And in my travels, I came across Alberta Miniatures, which specialize in doing the Alamo and the Texas War of Independence.
Nice.
I imagine the Mexicans could still be used for the Mexican War of Independence themselves, so you could put them up against
you would assume so,
the Spanish as well, because that was only 10 to 20 years earlier. So the weaponry is more or less the same, and I imagine the uniforms wouldn't be that dissimilar.
Do they have a miniature of what's his name, Santa Ana?
They've got lots of miniatures. We'll get to the miniatures in a moment.
All right. Sorry.
I couldn't find out who sculpts them, but based on the style of sculpting, I have a sneaking suspicion it's Paul Hicks. Which
it looks very Hixian, doesn't it?
It does look very Hixian. I'm going to set that off to the gallery there. I will stop off via the online store. So you can see some things come as sort of single packs or character packs.
Masked Bandit.
The Masked Bandito. Yeah. One of the reasons why we're going to have a look at the gallery is the pictures there are a bit better.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind if I could only see these, but I know it would irritate people at home, especially Lloyd, when he looks at this. But yeah, the Masked Bandito, both mounted and on foot for £6. I mean, by Grabthar's hammer, what a savings.
Fabulous.
But I was just checking to see whether or not that would sort by.
These are 28 mil, yeah?
These are all 28s. But you have a variety of things like the presidential troopers, you have mountain men, the sort of Texan independents, but you also have civilians and sort of militiamen as well. So some of the name people, some I know, some I don't. But like I said, it's a relatively small range, and at the moment, quite compact and bijou, and very good pricing on it as well. So for people sort of looking to step into it, you can see there's a whole host there. I will get to the tiny fighting men pictures in a moment. Look,
you need casualties. Yeah.
There's Crockets.
Great.
Yeah. And did you not see the cannon come and take it gun? That's special.
Well, the come and take it was the sort of the standard that they raised. At the start of the Mexicans were sent to take a cannon back that they'd given to, I can't remember where, they'd given somebody a cannon to help them fight off bandits and Indians, and then whenever they sort of declared independence, the army went up to get it, and they raised a flag with a cannon on it, and the legend underneath, come and take it, and then proceeded to unleash hell on the Mexican soldiers that were attacking. But yes, there is a mariachi band.
That's amazing. The little flamenco dancer is fantastic.
Yep. But I think if we just dance off to the gallery.
Nice.
I think what's quite nice about it is that because it's focused around a particular moment in time, yes. I think it allows them to have a lot of fun with the characters and building on that element of things as well as it just being the kind of rank and file stuff.
Yeah,
they're a bit more Hollywood-esque.
It's funny you say that, because see this guy up front. If anybody watched the late 80s, early 90s Zorro TV show,
right,
there was like a fat sergeant who was constantly being bamboozled by Zorro, and he looked just like that.
That's fantastic.
So
very cool.
I think it is very Hollywood-esque in that regards. But
Davy Crockett.
David Crockett,
absolutely gorgeous.
Remember the Alamo.
Good old Davy. 108 bears in one season, Davy Crockett.
Yeah, wrestled one with one arm behind his back, or was it the bear was biting it?
Oh, wow. But yeah, the sculpts themselves are absolutely gorgeous. And the paint jobs, some of the paint jobs are slowly making their way onto the website. So like the mariachis, you will have seen that they had both the bare metals and the others. But there are people like Zorro's in here. Sorry, I mean the masked stranger. Crockett's Last Stand itself. And these are amazing sculpts, even if you don't have access to a 30-year-old out of print book, or whatever that is. 10 years. The 90s were 10 years ago. There are plenty of other games that these will slot into anyway. I was thinking of something like Osprey's Chosen Men, where it's Napoleonics, but it wouldn't take much to change it over. And it's all about small units doing daring deeds in a sort of sharp style, so it would work well for this without too much of an issue. But the figures themselves are absolutely gorgeous. And I like the defenders and the militia. So those are some of the Mexican natives who rebelled against Santa Anna. The possibly Tejano, but who knows? Who knows?
Those guys are fancy.
Oh, look at the side of his face.
Yeah.
Big mutton chops.
Yeah.
If you're after
out of the mountain from hunting beavers.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you're after mountain men, or posses for other sort of small scale skirmish games, then there are some stunning figures in here, even if you're not planning on actually doing the Texas War of Independence, which, let's face it, was only 8 months, not even. It was a very, very small snippet of time, but there's other bits and pieces you can do within there.
Tassels.
And the sculpts themselves are absolutely darling.
Yeah. I think what's cool about it as well is that because you've got so many of those named character packs that they've put into the mix, it'll mean that when you sit down to, put together forces for the game or war bands and gangs and that kind of thing, you'll actually be like, oh, who was this character? Who was William Blaseby? And you'll go and do a little bit of research on it and stuff as well, which is really nice. So,
I notice he's carrying a Harper-esque knock.
Yes, as
well. When you need to kill 7 people in a very tight pack very quickly. It's the way to do it.
I do wonder where would be the best place to go for like terrain kits if you were wanting to actually do the Alamo as a gaming table.
That'll be interesting. Yeah.
I'm trying to think because I'm pretty sure I've seen somebody who's done the Alamo, but anybody who's doing anything vaguely Adobe is good. So you'll find them from the likes of TT Combat, Sarissa, things from the basement, all do Adobe buildings and sort of little church sets and stuff like that.
Sort of hodgepodge it together a little.
Yeah.
Oh,
the Alamo was a complete shambles. It was like a little church complex that had been used by the army, but it had fallen into disrepair. So it was in pieces before it got hammered back to the Stone Age. But there's no reason why you can't put it together yourself. There's plenty of plans and diagrams for the Alamo. Yeah, stunning set.
This is really, really good range. I love it. It's so cool.
Love the mariachi.
Fantastic.
Around the table.
Well, why not? Why not dance on a table? There's a Spanish governor. Again, looking not dissimilar to the evil Spanish governor who Zorro was constantly butting heads with.
Yes.
Crack sports.
Texans and frock coats. There's a lot to be said about some nice frock coats. So it's an interesting little period because I was starting to reread the Alamo book as well. And sort of trying to get an idea of where it all sort of sprang from. And we always think of the sort of the Texas War of Independence, but it was one small section of Mexican land that was rebelling against essentially undue taxes and citizens' rights, as is often the case. But then after the Texan War of Independence, Santa Anna was released, sent back to Mexico, took control again, and decided to go for a bit of a recovery to recover his lost land, and lost even more because Mexico held most of the southern and western states, so sort of from California all the way down. Hence, so many of the city names like Los Angeles and things like that are still sort of Spanish.
San Diego.
Yeah. But oh no.
Tiny image had to be at least one.
The Grey Company in there as well. But yeah, it's a little snapshot into a period that I think everybody's heard. Remember the Alamo? Not many people have looked in and around the actual war itself.
Interestingly, sorry, go on.
Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
No, it's fine. Go on, Justin.
I was just thinking, the Alamo is one of those things that always comes up, just in historical shows. And I mean, it's one of those things, even like time travel shows will go back and go, yeah, let's go visit the Alamo.
That's true.
Day trip.
I was just interestingly looking up. I was looking at Boot Hill on Google just to see if I could find the sculptor. I think you are right. I think it is Hicks. But there was a Boot Hill role-playing game, which was a Wild West RPG as well from TSR back in the day, apparently.
Makes sense.
So if you're interested in using these for an old role-playing game, you can as well, I guess.
Well, yeah.
Kind of cool. So, yeah.
Look at that.
That's so cool.
That horse has such a pretty smile.
Yeah.
So easy to paint.
That's wonderful. That's gorgeous.
Everything goes black.
Black, little bit of dry brushing. Away you go.
Yeah. And you had... haven't seen Houston on our travels yet, so I don't know if they've sculpted him yet.
I like the additional table for the dancer. That's
Extra furniture.
Why not? But General Houston, who was a bit of a legend in the area as well.
Annoyingly, this is now making me want to go back and watch the mariachi.
I have mariachi music stuck in my head now.
Yeah. So one of these men needs to have a belt with a gun built into the crotch.
You've got wrong, mate.
Something's not quite right there.
No, it needs to happen.
Yeah. Like I say, we're coming near the end of the actual gallery anyway.
As the Tony Hart music brings to a close.
Yeah. But the figure range themselves are
diverse, yeah.
An adorable little set. Like I say, it's only 4 pages at the moment, so stuff sort of gets added as and when.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, for the majority of the Mexicans, because they're uniformed troops, you don't really need to worry too much about them. Replication within them, so they have the various line infantry and light skirmishers and so dismounted cavalry. So that's all good, and there's a nice spread of them as well for skirmish packs. But it's really the addition of the likes of the mountain men and the Mexican and Texan natives, where they've really got that sort of diversity within the sculpts and the equipment they've got as well, to give you that sort of ragtag militia feel, fighting for their land. Absolutely gorgeous. And I'll definitely be...
You've definitely got somewhere to go for one-stop shop in that particular area, isn't it?
Yeah. There's the general. Oh, there's Sam Houston as well. Only man to be governor of 2 different states.
Oh, wow. Man, I love the character they've built into the sculpts. They're so nice.
Governor of Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then 30 years later, when Texas actually became a state, he was governor there as well. Gorgeous figures. There's
time for a spot of tea. Further at the gates, I don't care.
And
probably coffee.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. The nice thing about this as well is it's another kind of era of history that probably people haven't really dived into, because, as you say, a lot of people have done Wild West stuff.
Yeah.
But they've probably very rarely looked, towards the Alamo and this kind of thing as well.
You do suggest it's niche and you don't expect the resources to be there in this stuff.
Yeah,
it's nice to say.
I know somebody, I want to say it's Denzian, one of our community members, has been doing Silver Bayonet, but in Mexico during this period.
Yeah.
So during the Mexican War of Independence, I think. So so it's interesting because obviously Old West, Wild West, whatever you want to call it, is normally 1860s, 1870s, 1880s, whereas this is 1820s to 1830s. So you're dealing with slightly different weaponry as well if you are choosing to decide to run into the Mexican. You have more of the musket and rifle. So barrel loaded rather than breech loaded.
Old West, not Old West.
So when you're looking for games, you either have to adapt the weapons if you're playing an Old West game to make them more appropriate, or get a Napoleonic rule set and then just transpose it across. But yeah, boothillminiatures.co.uk.
Very cool.
I think it's
nice.
Definitely want to go and check out.
Charming little period and era that often gets neglected, and should be interesting for some little skirmish games, and especially if you've got a Zorro. Why not have a Zorro?
I think you've got to do that,
If you don't have a Zorro specifically, you should live with that, Jared. You really should.
I'm just thinking now, actually, because there's another Osprey game that it could work for.
Oh,
because you could use On Guard, which is all about swashbuckling.
Oh yeah, you could
play some little Zorro things, because it does have musketry in here. Right, no, sorry. Focus.
Don't
People
forget.
at home, focus.
you got this.
You need to stop getting distracted. I don't know why.
Just don't forget, if you're playing with Zorro, he has to have plot armor.
He doesn't play armor. He's Zorro. He's awesome. He's awesome. Put below how awesome Zorro is on a scale of 1 to Zorro. Right. We're going to move on. And when we come back, we're going to be checking out the news.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
All right, folks. So back to discuss some tabletop news from the past week or so. We're starting off with some stuff that was released by Warlord Games, at least for pre-order, last weekend, which is very, very cool, though, for anyone who is interested in Bolt Action and World War II. What an interesting thing that we have a prize for Bolt Action.
No, this will never catch on.
So this is the new set that is coming out that covers the North Africa campaign, which is called A Gentleman's War, and focuses in on both the British of the 8th Army, or at least the British Commonwealth as a whole, actually, which is pretty cool, and also the Africa Corps for the Germans. So on the one side, you have a pack of the British infantry alongside a new plastic vehicles as well, which we'll get to those in a little bit. So the actual plastic infantry is made up using the Commonwealth sprue. So it comes with all the different bits and pieces that you need for making your British troops, but you can also make them as Canadians and New Zealanders and all that kind of thing as well, if you really wanted to go down that route.
I think Sikh heads are on there.
There's also Sikh heads on there as well, which is nice, yeah. Because there was a lot of different people fighting in North Africa for the Brits, which is pretty cool. There's, South Africans, all sorts of different people, Canadians, as we were saying. And the kit comes with...
We used to be bigger.
We used to be big. We used to be big in the 1800s, yeah. But also, there's a bunch of different weapon options on there as well. So you've got your standard rifles in there, but you've also got sort of machine gun kits and all that kind of thing there, alongside anti-tank guns and stuff as well, if you really wanted to dive in and have fun with it, which is pretty nice. But yeah, this set also comes with the Humber Mark 2 or 4 armored car, which you can see there. And this is going to be the only place that you'll be able to pick up these plastic vehicles, because there's one for the Germans as well, for the time being, until they get released separately. But if you want to get your hands on those right now, you can do and have fun with it. So if you want to drive around on the sands in a Humber, then you will be able to do that, which is pretty nice.
If you want to recreate a bridge too far.
Exactly, yeah. Have fun with that.
Give one to the Germans.
Yeah. On the other side of things as well, you also have the Africa Corps that everyone will know, led by Mr. Rommel himself, who are looking very, very cool indeed. Again, you've got all the same sort of weapon options that you expect. So you've got your standard rifles, machine guns, mortars, and all that kind of thing, which is nice, as well as spotter teams and command elements as well. So as well as this just being like a neat plastic kit that can be added on to something that you already own for North Africa, you could also use this as your starting point, because you've got all the different bits in there for making your command figures and then making smaller infantry units. So if you're just starting out and getting used to playing Bolt Action, this is really, really good, because you've basically got like maybe two squads, a special weapon, and then some commanders, and then away you go. And you've also got the vehicle in there as well to kind of like take things to the next level with your rules, which I think is quite nice. The vehicle there is this is a big, long German thing, the SDKFS 222/223 armored car. So if you're interested in going down that route, you can do as well. If anybody remembers what all those things mean, please tell me. But there we go. As well as all of the miniatures that you get in the set, you're also going to be getting all the things you need to start playing the game. So you're going to get a couple of sort of rule books and booklets for you to dive into and have fun with. So there'll be all the core rules for Bolt Action, along with a book to kind of introduce you to the game and sort of take you through your first steps playing it. Obviously playing out sort of scenarios that are sort of based around North Africa, which is quite nice. You've also got your pin markers, your order dice, your regular dice for doing all that lovely rolling, and then also templates and chits and all that kind of thing as well, which is quite nice. So it's a really good little set for diving in and playing Bolt Action in North Africa if it sort of catches your eye. So yeah.
Smashing stuff. I used the core plastic boxes whenever we ran the Bolt Action boot camp in the Western Desert many moons ago. You can get about 700 to 750 points out of the plastic set. Which will do your commander, some support, your core, infantry, and then when you add in the armored vehicles to both sides, you'll find that sort of pushes it up to 800-900 points, which is more than more than adequate for starting games.
Yeah.
You shouldn't need to add too much more if you want to expand beyond that.
Yeah, the only thing you probably want to do is probably get yourself some kind of ruined buildings or something, but you can usually pick up terrain in that sense from a whole bunch of different people out there in the world. So it should be fine. Just ruined, rubbly walls and away you go, really.
That's very true.
And everybody knows, the bolt action system, if you've played it, is really, really good. The pulling the dice out the bag thing and doing your orders and things is really, really fun. It's a really neat little system that is a very good entry point into World War II because it's kind of, straddles the line between it being kind of action comic-y fun, but also being sort of realistic World War II at the same time, which I think is quite nice. So,
Yeah, no, interesting sets. I'm looking forward to seeing those plastic armored cars for both sides.
Yes. You see what the little bits and pieces in the kit are for those. Yeah.
They're first released in this box. Well, I presume they'll be released separately after the box. I guess so.
I imagine so.
It should be good.
I'm wondering if they're
customize it that way.
artillery kits, because I know Warlord have done a lot with them in the past.
I have done, yeah.
Most of their kits are from artillery.
But I wasn't sure that they'd done a hammer armored car or the 222.
No.
Time will tell. Anyway,
we'll see it soon enough on their web store, and we will mention it in the news if we do. Yeah.
Who's next then? More big news.
So this is pretty massive. Almost Warjack sized.
One does have me excited.
Yeah. So this is the news that we're getting a new edition, almost kind of a revamping in a way of Warmachine from the folks at Privateer Press. So they are moving on to Mark 4 of their game. And this was pretty massive news this week that is also going to be carried on into next week when obviously we move towards Gen Con and we get to see a little bit more about it. But as a basis for this, the whole point behind what they're doing here with Mark 4 is they want to kind of reset the clock effectively when it comes to Warmachine. Mm-hmm. There's obviously a lot of history built up behind the game up until this point with loads and loads of miniatures and all that kind of thing. And what they're trying to do here is they're trying to make it a little bit easier and simpler for people to dive into the game for the first time. So one of the massive things that they're going to be doing is there's going to be 2 different modes of play. So there will be unlimited, which will allow you to play with every miniature that has ever been released from Warmachine for the past however million years. From the first metal models all the way through to the most recent plastics and resins and all that kind of thing. So, if you love all your old miniatures and you want to keep playing with all of them, then you can do. The other side of things is going to be what's called Prime. So Prime will focus on some of the existing miniatures range, but mostly around the newly released Mark IV miniatures that will come out for the various factions. And the idea behind this is similar a little bit to CodeOne for Infinity, from Corvus Belli, is that you'll be able to dive in with a much smaller pool of models and have a lot of fun with the game very, very quickly without having to worry about all the different things that have been released over, a billion years from Privateer Press for Warmachine. This also then sort of works into the way that their starter sets and all those things are going to be working in the future as well. So they're going to be designing their starter sets from the viewpoint of new people diving in, and the idea will be that the starter sets themselves will allow you to play 50-point games out of the box. Nice and simple, fun. They will then do expansion sets that will be sort of bodged onto the end of each faction starter that will immediately take you up to 75 points. So effectively you just, add them in and away you go. And then there will also be additional sets that will come out that will then take you up towards 100. And then that's where they want to try and cap things when it comes to Prime. So that's sort of like your base level for playing the game, but kind of works with their idea of doing those kind of like Journeyman League style things, where you'll start off with a starter box, add in one new thing, and then maybe a couple of additional things here and there, which I think is really cool. For those people,
a lot more granular though.
Yeah, it is a little bit more granular, which is kind of interesting. They have also said that a lot of those box sets are going to come with options for you to play around with those models. So you'll still be within the 50-point kind of range when it comes to those starter sets, but all the Warjack kits and all that kind of thing will come with weapon options, which I think is quite nice because they've done some really interesting things with the Warjacks, which we'll get to in a little bit. For those people who are thinking, but what about Hordes? Well, Hordes is going to be folded into the Warmachine rules. So they're going to be starting things off with Warcaster-led Horde forces to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So your Trollbloods and all that kind of thing, your Circle Orboros, they're all going to be led by Warcaster to begin with, using the similar mechanics from Warmachine. And then those kind of familiar mechanics for Hordes, where you're a little bit more reactive in the game, are going to be sort of brought in next year in sort of August 2023, where you'll be able to see your familiar Warlocks and things entering the fray. This is one of the factions that's going to be sort of leading the way for everything in October when the new start sets come out. So we're going to get the Orgoth coming to the tabletop once more, sort of leading their chaotic legions of monstrous foes and sort of weird cultists against the forces of Signal, which I think is quite nice. But this then leads me on to talking about the miniatures. So a lot of people will be aware that Privateer Press have done metal, plastic, resin over the years. Now, with costs going up across the board for a lot of these different materials, they are taking a very, very interesting approach to how they're going to release their models for Mark IV.
Right.
Now, when I say the word 3D printing, everyone's going to immediately think, oh, STL files. That's not necessarily the case. That may come later on down the line. But what they're going to be doing is they're going to be using in-house 3D printing at like an industrial scale, one would imagine, in order to create all of your miniatures, because that allows them to keep everything within house. And from what they've been talking about when it comes to their sort of test models and that kind of thing, it should mean that things are out there in the wild much, much quicker. They're also designing them so that the kits go together in this kind of more modular fashion, and they are pre-designed for magnets so that you can attach different weapons onto the warjacks and things as you see fit, which I think is very cool. The other thing they've said is that this will mean that if they want to sell quicker in Europe or Asia, for example, they can set up bases of operation with the 3D printing technology and effectively cut out of the mix shipping and all that kind of thing, which is quite nice.
I mean, this was always one of the biggest things for Privateer, because I remember when we first started looking at them, they had a factory set up in Liverpool, if I remember right. And even with a factory set up over here, it was really hard to keep the stock levels up just because it was so popular back then. Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting seeing if this actually pays off, I think. A lot of people have been like, oh, 3D printing, it's still a kind of... But when you think about it on the scale that they're going to be investing in this isn't kind of like your 3D printer in the back room kind of thing. This is like the next level stuff. So it could be very interesting where it goes in the future. As that, you'll have the people in their like production bases who are like fully trained. They're doing it every single day.
Exactly.
So that quality control is going to be there as well.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than running one out at home and, oh crap, misprint because I set one thing wrong. Exactly, yeah.
Going back to rules for a second. So this week, they also announced that you can try out the new Mark IV rules for free right now. The beta rules are available for you to download alongside a set of beta cards for a bunch of starting off factions if you want to dive in and have a go with the game. They are fully embracing the idea of you basically breaking it and having fun with it if you want. And they want you to give feedback and all that kind of thing, which is really, really nice. So you better dive in, have fun with the game, see what you think about it, and take it forward. A lot of people have already been talking about the fact that it sort of feels like it's moving a little bit towards... is it Warcaster, the sci-fi version? I can't remember the name. Yeah, Warcaster.
Mechanica.
Yes, that's it. Neo Mechanica, yeah. So moving over to kind of like Neo Mechanica and using those rules a little bit to kind of sort of influence the way in which they sort of design Warmachine Mark IV at the moment. So we also had a roadmap that came out. There's a lot of information that got dumped over this week.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
I think the big thing for this is, even though they've announced 4th edition Mark IV, it doesn't actually officially land until January.
Yes.
It's just a while.
So that this isn't going to be, oh my God, we're changing everything overnight. As you can see from the roadmap, they have this sort of slow build. So there is going to be an accompanying app later on this year, and then come January when the official release of Mark IV kicks off, then they'll have the final version of rules and app both, which means they've got what 5 months, 6 months for people in the community to get involved, try it out and see. And then it means
cool. As well, you know, they're focusing on the Orgoth, the Signar, and the Kador to kick things off. So they're not overloading themselves, I would say, trying to do every single faction. So that'll be good for it.
Again, I think they've been somewhat influenced by the way that Corvus Belli have approached CodeOne in many regards, I think, where they've kind of started off with 2 factions, then added 2 more in and that kind of thing. And I think that really works nicely for what they want to do with Warmachine, because there's so many factions and sub-factions and all that kind of thing as well, which I think would be very interesting. That this isn't to say that anything that you already own is going to be sort of defunct, because alongside doing what they're working on for Mark IV, they are going to continue to update what has already been released for Warmachine. So if you have existing models, if Jerry just scrolls down just a little bit, you'll see like there's a little line underneath about what they're going to be doing about legacy content. So you will be able to follow through on what's happened for your faction. If you don't play one of those, say for example you play Crix or something, they're going to be working on that all the way through up until April and all that kind of thing as well, which is quite nice, I think. So, it's not an end for what you've been doing previously with Mark III, although obviously it will eventually be. But, for the meantime, you can still keep playing Mark III and then slowly build into Mark IV as you go. And if you're new and you're thinking, oh my God, I really like the look of those Orgoth models or something, well, the likelihood is you'll be able to dive into an entirely new version of Warmachine that's been reformed and revamped to make it a lot more accessible for you to dive into, and also more available at friendly local gaming stores, which I think is the massive thing, because you need the supply to stores in order for people to get a hold of the models and start playing the games. So it should be really fascinating to see where they go with this one, I think. So, yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing for me being an old Warmachine player is the way they've actually changed some of the ways that you're going to be building your armies. So things like having your warcasters not having a set of spells. Yeah. Because time was way back when your warcaster, they had their set of spells, that's it. When I was reading through this, it's saying they'll actually have like a list of ones to pick from. So time was you wanted something different in your army, swap your warcaster. Now you can have your favorite warcaster, just tweaking what they're actually able to do on the battlefield as well.
Which I think it's a great idea. It really is a great idea.
And then having the modular warjacks as well, and like you were saying, having them pre-designed to take magnets, you're going to get so much more value out of each warjack that you're picking up to actually put into your game. So I think really, really good idea on that, just for like pure quality of life improvements for players.
I think genuinely, from reading through what they've been talking about with their announcements and the way that they want to try and handle this over the next year or so, it seems like Privateer are really focused on, bringing the best version of Warmachine to the tabletop that they can, which I think is really, really good. And it's nice to have another game out there, that people can dive into and have fun with, especially one that we, classically loved. Needs to see a little bit more TLC around clubs and things.
It's quite an interesting one.
I've got so many Warmachine factions in a box somewhere. So
see, I think I've heard this from all of you because I've come into the industry at this point, and I've heard nothing but nice things about, especially from you, Justin, about you having to play Warmachine, putting time and effort into it. And a lot of you have just said, yeah, but it's dead now. And it's really interesting to see the revival. Are you interested, Justin? Do you think you're going to get back involved?
Honestly, both myself and John, when we saw this, we've both looked at it and went, time to break out the old collection and give it
nice back. Exactly.
So, and I mean, it's not so much that it died. It's just, all right, now this is my own personal opinion, but I think one of the worst things, well, there are 2 things that Privateer Press did that I think really sort of hung the game up a little bit. Number 1 was when they got rid of their press gangers, because they used to have a huge base of like volunteers who would go out and run stuff in local gaming stores to really push the game forward. Without that, I think that was a bit of a hit to them. And then whenever they also switched to digital cards, now, fine, I'm okay with digital stuff, but there are so many people out there, Jerry, who just want to have a piece of card in front of them. So I think those are like 2 of the major things that I think really stymied the game. And I think with this, there's a real opportunity for them to bring it back to the fore. Because at one time, they were the main competitor compared to Workshop.
Well, of course. Yeah. I mean, I've sat there and heard you and John speak about it quite often, and it's just interesting for me to kind of see the outside perspective and everybody getting excited about something they loved once so much. It's a change of dynamic.
Yeah. There you go. If you're interested in keeping tabs on what's going on, we've got a link over there to the actual press release and also to the rules and cards that you can take a Swiss at yourselves.
The press release is very, very in depth. So I have only spark noted this on OTT. There is a lot more depth in there for you to dive into and enjoy. So
also a little video on that press release,
yes,
showing you some sneak peeks, like 3D previews and stuff of some of the miniatures,
nice.
Just very, very quickly. So definitely worth looking at.
So there you go. If you're interested in kicking off with your Warcasters for the first time, or if you're into the Hordes, then check out what's coming. It's interesting with the run up to Gen Con, essentially going, this is where we are for this Gen Con, and this is where we'll be for next Gen Con.
Yeah.
Here's your next year from us, and our sort of our plans for the game as well. So
I do love a roadmap.
Yep. Hopefully we'll see a big revival for Warmachine and Hordes in the not too distant future. Speaking of revivals.
Yeah, that was a good segue. That was a good one. Obviously, it's been quite quiet on the Legends of the Five Rings tabletop game front, the role-playing side of things. It's been quiet. We've seen an art book pop up not too long ago, and that showed us the Emerald Empire. But it's been around for some time. It's been around, like, the content go back to the late 90s. But if you've not jumped in and you wasn't so keen on learning the roll and keep system and you were interested, but Asmodee and Edge Studio are releasing a 5e source book, inspired RPG, and it's called Adventures in Rock Again, and it's gearing up to release next month, and it's going to give players the whole world for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, which is quite cool. So it is no doubt a wonderful way to get in some new players. And it's such a vast universe as well. And it is teaming up with the 5e rule set. So the Emerald Empire itself is getting a bit of a resurrection. So we're dipping back into the mythology and folktales of East Asia. And you're going to be stepping up as samurai. You're going to be throwing blades. You're going to be throwing magic. And you're going to be in the midst of peace, war, and mystery. So Edge Studio have used the 5e system reference document to kind of tweak and tailor the world, and just to introduce some new players into the fold, really. So the book itself, as I said, is called Adventures in Rock Again, and it's 424 pages. So it takes a complete peer into the universe. It includes a whole scope of information on the Emerald Empire. That looks into clans, monsters, classes, all with a 5e twist. So they're not just stopping at that one book. If you think you're going to throw yourself in at full pace and want to get cracking with 5e, they're also releasing a Games Masters kit alongside the source book. And that's a 32-page book and a 4-panel Games Master screen. So we are fast approaching this release that is coming out next week on the 5th of August. So if you are looking an excuse to revive your Legends of Five Rings campaign or want to bring some new players into the world, it's a really nice way to streamline it seamlessly by flexing a bit of 5e in there as well. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled because it's quite a cool development, this one.
Yeah, it's interesting. We see this more and more where we get games in 5e version as well because people don't want to learn another rule system.
You played a fair bit, didn't you, Jerry? Legend 5 Rings Tabletop RPG.
Oh yeah, but all from Alderac. Yeah. So AEG, and none of that came here. 5. No. But it's always good fun to go into the Shadowlands with a bunch of people and get your ass kicked by tiny little gremlins.
Well, the question is it just that 5th Ed is the superior system, or is it just...
No.
Oh,
I think it's because it's what most people use because it's Dungeons and Dragons, so it's easier to access any other world. It's a great idea for new people to try it out.
It comes down to the game you're playing, so I don't have a problem with it for this because it's a heroic game where you're playing heroes.
Heroic fantasy setting.
Fantasy setting, it's perfect for it. But in the past, they've shoehorned... Before 5e, when it was just OSR, they shoehorned Cthulhu in there. And that makes no sense because at no point should anybody be thinking, I can take on a Cthulhu creature.
A hero,
you're meant
Don't be a hero.
Yeah, you will suffer and you will die. That's the whole point of it. So
you will go Bibbledee.
It comes down to whether or not the game fits the system. And this one it does. If people want to stick with the other version's still going to be available anyway. But if it's an easier sell for your group, it's probably not a bad shot.
I know that Edge Studios have continued to produce all of the existing FFG role-playing books, because my friend's been diving into the Star Wars RPG stuff that FFG did, which I quite like, even though a lot of people still quite like the older systems and things. But
again, another D20. What failure.
But as I say, Edge are producing those older books, but this will make this one a lot more readily available for a lot of people. And because it has that 5e tag on it, it'll hopefully mean that a lot of people will experience a world that they wouldn't necessarily dive into. Because I think that's the draw of this, is that everybody knows D&D now. It's almost become the de facto way to explain that you are a role player. You just say, I play D&D. No, but actually you play World of Dinosaurs. A lot of people will say, well, I just play D&D because it's an easy term to use. A bit like how we talk about Warhammer now. It's like Warhammer is synonymous with wargaming.
Or Google.
Or Google is about searching, So.
Well, here's a question for you. Is there any particular IP that you guys think would be amazing if it was switched into 5e?
A system that already exists that would be good in 5e?
Well, either a system that already exists or an IP that you would love to see converted into the 5e system.
Well, I love the First Law, and I will always talk about the First Law as being a really good role-playing system. So I'd love to see someone actually build settings books for the First Law and that kind of thing. I think that'd be really nice for Joe Abercrombie's work.
I'll be quite honest with you. Since I've been role-playing, I actually prefer other rule systems too.
Bespoke systems are the best. Yes,
I do.
I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
Well, it's as I said, I think it's a good way to get new people involved that are already immersed in that 5e name to turn around and say, look, there's another place we can go to. There's already a bank of information we can access. It's already been written over the years. Yeah. Let's jump in. So it's a nice way to get new people.
You already know how to read your character sheet.
Well,
yes, exactly.
Get yourself stabbed up by some gremlins in the Shadowlands.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later.
Be part of the Crowd Clan. Crowd Clan best. There we go.
It's pronounced Crane there, I think, rather badly in many respects. At least the first letter was right. So, well done, you.
Crowd Clan. Anyway.
Shocking.
So yes, we shall move on. Yeah, we'll move on to talk about alien bugs and weird SpaceNam miniatures. Because Wargames Atlantic, they goddamn done it again. Of course they have. They're amazing, right? So we start things off with the announcement that they have been working with, and they're going to continue working with, Reptilian Overlords.
Yes.
So for people who know Reptilian Overlords, they are a 3D print creation society. That was a weird way of putting it.
Sure.
Creation print society.
Yeah, but that makes them sound like some kind of old Victorian
they are the free
thing or something. What do you mean? So yes, they create STL files. Jesus, it would have been easier if I just started with that. Yeah. These guys create STL files and resin miniatures for a bunch of different sort of genres and all that kind of thing. But they have now teamed up with Wargames Atlantic to create multi-part plastic kits of their ranges. So if you don't have a 3D printer and you don't like resin, then you can pick up their models in plastic now, which I think is really cool. Nice. And they started off with SpaceNam, because of course you do.
Yeah.
So yes, this is their SpaceNam Trooper set. It comes with a whole bunch of different weapons for you to arm them with. And also, they look generic enough for you to use them across a whole bunch of different games, but of course you would use them for 40k as catechins.
You just make, Sly Barmo.
Exactly. Yeah, you can make Sly Barmo out of these easily. That guy at the front.
Sly Barmo.
Who's Sly Barmo?
Well, not Sly Marbo.
Oh, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing now. Oh God, I'm slow today.
I'm saying nothing.
So yes. This set comes with options for arming them with standard rifles, blaster pistols, bladed weapons, so you've got your knives and your machetes and all that kind of thing. You've got grenades, flamethrowers, grenade launchers, sniper rifles, and even your plasma sort of / heat weapons at the same time as well. So if you want to hunt down aliens in the jungle, you can do that. You could even paint them up in a very different way if you wanted to and go for more of a desert style.
Yeah.
As long as those rippling muscles are out.
They've got muscles on their muscles. They need to be out. Yeah.
Who has? I wonder if they do multiple sizes of knife, just so you know who's in charge.
That would be cool. Yeah. If someone doesn't make a little vignette diorama of two of them sort of grasping hands at the same time with all their muscles bulging, then
you need to make a space chopper.
But what I will say is, if you're missing some of those models, you can just go to Reptilian Overlords, because pretty much everything you mentioned is in there.
Yeah. So yeah, some very cool miniatures there from Wargames Atlantic that are kind of taking things in a new direction. And of course, these folks do amazing work. We've looked at their kits in the past, and they definitely know what they're doing, and they have some really fun stuff in the future. Talking of the future, we also got another little news piece from Wargames Atlantic because they have new alien bugs on the horizon.
Alien bugs?
Exactly. And these alien bugs are named as such because they have no real name yet. And they want you to help out. So they are bringing this set to the tabletop very, very, very soon. And they've put together a little bit of a fun sort of challenge for their community to get involved. If you come up with a name and a bit of lore for them that sort of builds them into their sort of Deathfields universe, then you will be able to win yourself not just one, not just two, not three, but 10 boxes. Which I think is crazy.
That's how you take over a planet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dave, D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick, and Titches. There's one for the older kids in the audience.
So the set comes with, as you can see here, bladed monstrosities with all sorts of gribbly claws attached to them. You also get sort of various forms of the alien bugs. So you've got their egg sac form, the kind of mid-babyish form, and then the adult version of them. They've also said, in traditional sort of Wargames Atlantic style, that there will also be options for attaching weird guns to them as well. So if you wanted to make shooty alien bugs, you will be able to do that as well. But all of those things should be brought together into your thinking when it comes to coming up with a name for this particular alien bug collection. I know a lot of people have already sort of dived into the comments and suggested their own names and are going to be thinking about it over the next couple of days. Make sure you have a go yourself, because you never know, you might win some awesome alien bugs. I should also note that those characters on the left there, you might not have seen those before. They're also going to be doing their own set of Oorah Colonial Marines as well. So if you're wanting to pick up some fancy sci-fi soldiers to go up against these bugs, then they're coming in the near future as well, which is very nice.
And remember, service guarantees citizenship.
Yes, exactly.
They do look fantastic.
I'm doing my part.
If you are interested in entering that, you do it over on the Wargames Atlantic forum, which is always worth being a member over there anyway, because you can have a wee chat and occasionally they'll ask things like, for example, they asked, what company out there do you really like the miniatures of that would be great in hard plastic? They asked that question several months ago and somebody went, Jillian Overlords. I went, really? Who? What? Oh my God, you're right. So yeah, they're always on the lookout for collaborations with other companies as well, because it just increases what they can do. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do release things incredibly fast. Apart from my World War I British. Come on, Wargames Atlantic. Gimme, please.
But didn't we get Space British? They're better. They're in space.
No, I want World War I British.
Yeah. I want the World War I Americans as well, so I can make the Harlem Hellfighters as well.
Yes.
But anyway, I digress. Where are we moving to from the weirdness of space?
Right, so as you all know, we are approaching Gen Con, not like we've mentioned it about 4 times so far, but anyway. Wyrd have announced their next set of Nightmare Editions and special minis that are coming to the event. So given the amount of Wyrd fans there are worldwide, they're opening up their online store too for the event, just so everybody can rejoice in the celebration. So we've got 2 Nightmare Edition sets coming, and that's a new Miss Alt figure as well. We're taking a little bit of a different direction from the usual themes of Malifaux, as you can see. Last year, we went underwater with Deepest Dives, and this year we're going full medieval fantasy. So this is axe-wielding, hero on his steed, awesomeness, sharing the augmented keyword. So first, you've got the Fallen Kingdom books, which we're looking at now. So you've got Lord Galehawk, Fallen Prince, who counts of Charles Hoffman, the inventor. So cool. You've got Stiltskin, who counts for the mechanical attendant, Porphyrium, who counts as Joss, the Weeping Huntress, who counts as Melissa Core, and 3 Hollow Fiends has counts as the Watcher. If you did want to get the Mighty Prince as well as the Galvanic Worm off of his Mighty Steed, there is a secondary box as well that adds to the keyword with a Legend Reforged box, and that contains a Peacekeeper roll with the Noble Lord Galhart. So that's the 2 boxes that's going to be at the event. as well as the boxes, you have their yearly event mini, which is their Miss figure. That'd be in a different video, that one. I will talk about the Walking Fortress while I'm here anyway, just to stick with the same theme. This will not be coming out at Gen Con. This will be coming as part of their Black Friday sale. So as you know, on Black Friday, Wyrd gets very intense, and they are continuing on with this, with the next set. So that's 3 bulky juggernauts, Walking Fortress. This is going to be all Riot Breakers as well. So as I said, you've got a nice alt coming this year for the 2022 event miniature for Gen Con, and this is an alt for Carlos Vasquez with this year's Mystique. So there is a lot coming up, and the best thing about Mystique is if you are joining in on the Gen Con festivities, if you do plan on spending over $100 on the Wyrd store, you will end up getting Mystique completely for free.
Nice.
So there's loads of stuff going on. As I said, this is going from the 3rd of August up until the 7th. So there's plenty of time to get your hands on a couple of Nightmare editions. They're a lot of fun. Usually these do pop up again in Black Friday sales, but they're not around for the whole year. So if you do like some alt models on the table, they're a really nice thing to go for.
When I was looking at this, all I could think of, especially when I saw the big guys with the massive shields and stuff, was like an Alice in Wonderland-esque thing going on, like a really creepy version of that, where you paint them almost up in like red and white, and you have the card symbols on their shields. And then, for example, you've got like the Porphyrian guy there. Do him up like almost like a little bit of like a court jestery style thing or something. Really nice. And then, of course, you've got the little mechanical attendant and stuff. Oh, my God. You have some really good fun with that, I think.
They're really, really unique. And as I said, you get him on his horse, on his steed, and not playing 2 different roles, really. Nice. They're throwing the keyword out, augmented keyword, and bringing as many characters along with it. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Fascinating stuff. I'm hoping to be talking to Kyle from Wyrd after Gen Con, when things sort of calm down a bit as well, about their plans for Malifaux and what sort of direction they're going in. Because there's so much going on with it.
Yeah.
It's daunting, to say the least, as to where you actually start, or how you start, or what works with what.
We need a little State of the Union chat.
Defective Dice did a nice little video recently on YouTube about how to start and what the things mean and what's the best way to get involved, and the various sort of, because you can join in via like a name posse in a group, or you can join in via keywords, and how you can mix and match. So there's a lot of different strands to Malifaux if you want to get involved with it. And I think it's tying into the other side now as well.
The other side's crossing over now. So quite a lot of the models that you're getting in the other side, you can use in Malifaux and vice versa. So they are really streamlined. And of course, a lot of the lore that happens in Through the Breach does cross over within the other games as well.
The role-play game as well. Oh, yeah.
So, I look forward to picking Kyle's brain post Gen Con and finding out what's going on there. But some terrific looking stuff. Finishing off the news for this week.
So finishing off the news, talking about the latest Games Workshop pre-orders that you'll be able to pick up from store.ontabletop.com.
Buy merch.
Very good, yes. Go and check that out. So there's going to be a new Warcry box, but we'll get to that in a little bit because we've already talked about it endlessly over the last couple of episodes. But first off, we have a couple of new miniatures that were shown off as one of the new warbands. So these are the new Chaos Legionnaires that are going to be added into the mix. There's a very sort of old school chaos vibe to these, which I really, really like. A lot of people were talking about a particular artist that they really thought this reminded them of, but I've completely forgot what it is, but it's in the comments of that post if you want to go check it out. But yes, so these are the Chaos Legionnaires, who are the servants of Be'lakor. So a lot of people will know that within the mortal realms, Archaon the Ever-Chosen is the one true Chaos Lord of everything, although that's not quite what Be'lakor thinks. Be'lakor actually quite hates Archaon. So he has been working in the background to raise his own faction of Chaos Warriors to fight and undermine Archaon's schemes. So that's why you see the iconography of Be'lakor with that kind of horned demon look to a lot of the symbology and the armor and the shields and that kind of thing as well. I really like the armor design here.
I like that it's less chunky than
exactly.
some of the
Yes.
It feels like proper armor.
I think someone referred to those things as brigantines. Is that what they're called? Yes, there we go. So they're wearing those, and then they've got the really awesome pauldrons and the slightly more armored arms. It's a little bit more Renaissance, interestingly, than I'd say or sort of classically medieval, which I think is quite nice. And I love that there's still all the chaos vibes going on. The shields remind me of the old school that are still in production, actually. The old school Marauder shields.
Marauder shields,
yeah, which I think is quite nice as well. And there's a good mix of different characters in there. So you've got male and female, but then you've also got slightly more mutated individuals as well, which I think is quite nice. They are going to be led by the Centaurian Marshals, or at least this is an option you can throw into the mix if you're playing your games of Warcry. So this is another one of Bellacor's enforcers, as you can tell by the big old beat stick there. But they are going to be riding around with their forearms, cutting everybody up and having a bit of a laugh at everyone else's expense, which I think is quite nice.
A bit of a laugh.
Having a bit of a laugh, yeah.
I think what's quite nice about this, again, is that it kind of approaches things from a very different point of view when it comes to chaos in Warhammer. It's not just tied specifically to one of the chaos gods, as we were talking about when we looked at Heart of Gur a couple of weeks ago. They're actually looking at things from a very different perspective and sort of approaching things from the subtle facets of chaos within each of the different chaos gods. And then, of course, from the viewpoint of Be'lakor, approaching it from that kind of undivided stance, which I think is quite nice, and sort of approaching things in a different way. So, yeah, very cool models there. These are going to be one of the new sort of Warband releases and Monstrous releases that comes out alongside Heart of Gur, which we have talked about in the past. Lloyd, who really likes some of the things here, but then not others. Go back and watch those episodes. But yes,
Chaos Legionnaires in there as well, or no?
So those are going to be a separate Warband release. This is the new box set for Warcry, which comes with the Rotmire Creed and the Horns of Ashut. It also comes with all the terrain and all the different books and all that kind of thing as well. The important thing to note as well is that while the other boxes have been continuations of the core Warcry mechanics that came out from the first box set, this is technically a new addition in that it has basically the same rules, but there's two sort of additional things that have been thrown in. So they've thrown in some additional bits and pieces mechanically that will kind of change things up and sort of, allow for a little bit more of the mitigation of luck in your games, which I think is quite nice. I really hope they don't change it too much because I really like Warcry. Of all of the kind of mainline attached to Warhammer specialist games, so a lot of Necromunda, Kill Team, and Warcry. I think this is, and also Warhammer Underlords, I suppose. I think this is actually probably the best because after watching through a couple of the tutorial videos, having to play around with the different mechanics and that kind of thing, it's really simple, which is one of the things you can't say about a lot of their other sort of specialist games. It's very simple, very easy to play, and you can make warbands out of pretty much anything. Like I have a Stormcast army that I had from way back when Age of Sigmar released, and I could literally make a warband out of just picking and choosing models from my collection, which I think is really, really awesome. But of course, you could also go down the route of making something a little bit more bespoke by taking one of those Chaos warbands if you wanted to as well. So, yeah, some very good stuff there. Let's hope that Games Workshop don't screw it up. So there we go.
Yeah, they are classic. I much prefer these Legionnaires to either of these things.
Yes, I think those Chaos Legionnaires are amazing. Yeah.
They're far more attractive, even for the idea of sitting down to paint them.
And I found the artist's name. Ian Miller.
Is it Miller?
Boom.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go. I was thinking it's Ian, but I can't remember the last name. But there we go. So Moon Unit suggested that these are very Ian Miller, and I think I agree. So,
it makes sense, especially considering so much stuff that he did for Warfrip. And even with those, I mean, chucking them in with these creepy trees.
Oh, yes.
I don't think there's a single Ian Miller sketch that didn't have creepy trees in it. I was a big fan of creepy trees. But yeah, interesting.
No one
stuff.
just grows apples in the Warhammer world.
Well,
trees have to
try.
have a skull.
Won't go well,
and the trees have to have skulls. Yeah.
Everything needs skulls.
There you go. Okay, folks, that wraps us up for the news. We're going to take a quick swish, and we'll be back to round out the show. All right, we're back. And we're going to be jumping into the wonderful world of 3D printing via the medium of Ben. So, Ben, what have you found? Is it Lord of the Rings?
It's not Lord of the Rings.
Is it dwarves?
Oh,
Bet it's dwarves.
Is it dwarves? Is it the forest? We'll go,
Justin.
Deb.
Justin gets a tickety-boo for this one.
Yay,
So, yes.
I win 100 internet points.
Maybe we can give you some XP for that. I don't know.
Nice.
Anyway, so yes. So this is Highlands Miniatures. I bumped into them because the algorithm of the internet suggested them to me. I wonder why. Probably because I was searching Warhammer and dwarves.
You
I
were
thought it would be
targeted.
because dwarves are short and you didn't see them there.
That might also be the case. Yeah. They snuck up on me, those little beardy pesky. That's going to be a beep. There we go.
Mark it.
But yes, this is a 3D printing sort of collection that is awesome and filled with amazing things for those people that like Warhammery goodness on the tabletop. They have been working on things for quite a while, as you can see by the fact that there's sort of 98 things in their store.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the big focus of what they've been working on is to kind of fill in gaps that have been left by Warhammer the Old World. So a little bit of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, whilst also sort of adding in little bits and pieces here and there that could be used with other games. There's also perhaps a few things in here that would be quite Lord of the Ringsy if you so desired, which I think is quite nice. But yeah, I was drawn to them initially by their Sons of Ymir, which are their dwarven warriors. So they have the likes of this mighty Thane, this dwarven lord on the top of his sort of stone throne, as you see there, looking very awesome indeed, with the proper winged helm and everything, which I think is fantastic. And a lot of their dwarf stuff in particular, I think really ties into the aesthetic of how the dwarves looked towards the sort of end of 7th and 8th edition, I think, where they've kind of gone for that sort of slightly more bulky look, which I think is quite neat, away with the kind of more Santa Claus look and towards something a little bit more sort of Warhammery, which I thought was quite nice. But yeah, there is so much stuff in here for you to dive into and have fun with. And a lot of this stuff could actually work quite nicely in sort of Age of Sigmar, as well as it just being something for Warhammer Fantasy Battles. I say both of these Games Workshop-centric games, but these would be perfect for those people who are trying to put together armies for Kings of War, for the Ninth Age, for Oathmark, pretty much any kind of fantasy game out there, be it a mass battle game or something skirmishy. I think there are miniatures here for you to use in creating something awesome. I think Lloyd would particularly like their skeletons.
Just thinking of Lloyd, yeah.
Because they're not batty. Plenty of bones on show. Lots of different sort of styles of skull as well, which I thought was quite nice.
The absent there.
Yeah. So you've got like the really awesome guy with like the square jaw there. You've got the guy missing the jaw and everything as well. I think it's quite nice. Lots of negative space on display as well, which is always nice to see.
I like the fact that one of them has a hole in his head.
Yeah, the negative space on his head, It's fab.
Taking a pickaxe to the head or something. So that was quite neat.
It's a way to do it.
Yeah. But they've got a really, vast collection of miniatures for you to dive into and have fun with, which I think is quite fun.
Any in particular you want me to look at? Because I've just started opening things at random, as is my wanted life.
I think that works best.
Yeah, well, there's a not ring wraith.
No, not at all. No, Nazgul, no.
Maybe it's an earring ghost.
Nose ring wraith.
A nose ring wraith. But yeah,
shocking.
I was particularly drawn. I liked the Sisters and Mother Superior, and also those Crimsons of St. Helen. I think they're really cool, especially because they're one of the they're a warband that I don't think got a lot of love back in the old Mordheim days. There was a few people who collected Sisters of Sigmar, but no one really went in for them. But I really like the idea of diving in and maybe using these to recreate a Sisters of Sigmar army for Mordheim, or you could use them as the leaders of your new, free cities armies in Age of Sigmar if you really wanted to. You could have them marching into battle alongside Stormcast Eternals and all that. I think that'd be quite nice. Maybe change those sort of crosses for hammers or something if you are detailed enough to do so. That'd be kind of cool. But obviously the fleur-de-lis designs and the French aesthetic there is there to kind of ape the look of Sisters of Battle from Warhammer 40,000 as well, which is quite nice. So,
these are all filthy, terrible heretics. Every single one of them is left-handed.
That is.
They'll run into problems when they come up against another shield wall. There'll be mass killings on both sides. Nobody be prepared for that.
We need to reorganize the battlefield.
I would have thought Sister Superior would have beaten that out of them. That's generally how it works.
Yeah.
I quite like that one, especially because you see the extra details in the face.
Yeah.
Where you've got kind of like the cuts through them. So you like maybe that she's a blind warrior or something. I think it's kind of cool. So yeah.
Very augury.
Yes, very much so. I think there's even a version of this that's been printed off in this particular entry as well, if you scroll through it a little bit. So there she is with a gun.
Nice.
Guns with
Why
guns.
not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's how one of the prints will come out if you're John. So
that's true. Yeah. He's just the best at 3D printing.
He is, isn't he?
I don't think I've seen anything he's done wrong.
Everything's been amazing.
He has had a few mistakes, but he just went,
that sounds jealousy.
I'll just do them as rounds. I'm just a little green.
Stay humble.
Yeah.
It's an interesting look. Sally Helms are always good, clean family fun anyway.
Oh, yeah.
They're just missing some massive purveyors to hide.
Yeah. You could also use these as kind of like your city guard in your games as well if you're doing something sort of skirmishy as well. I just think it's quite nice.
Or you could upscale them and do some nice statues.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Very nice idea.
maybe with the lady with the wings as well, you could do something that would be quite nice. But yeah, there's a lot of games out there that kind of do Warhammer adjacent stuff. So like one-page rules in their Age of Fantasy range. I think these would be a perfect fit for what they do. They kind of match in, I think, aesthetically with a lot of the stuff that one-page rules has created over the last couple of years. So I think they'd be a nice fit for it. The Free Company as well. Like I love those Free Company, and all the House of Wizards is amazing as well. Giving you like all the different colleges of magic, which I think is really cool. And as I say, there's a lot of these things to dive into and have fun with.
They've even got the crap version of the Supreme Patriarch.
Balthazar Gelt.
He's not my Supreme Patriarch. Thyrus Gorman all the way.
I do like Thyrus Gorman.
Oh.
Yeah.
Words sound like some form of English that I don't understand.
They're very good for wartime.
Yes. Yeah. Especially because in wartime you arm everybody with as many sort of axes and daggers as possible. So, make sure you chop through armor and stab people, shiv them as they're walking down the street. Yeah.
Although that I think is insanity.
Yes.
Well, there's no way the balls
Dual
are getting on it.
No.
Oh, maybe she's just like a whirling dervish.
Yeah, maybe.
And none with nunchucks.
And none with nunchucks. Yeah.
I've seen it. I can sleep well tonight.
The internet has gone too far.
I like to think that those nunchucks are actually scroll cases. So inside each of those, like the ends, is actually like a prayer or something.
No, they're a reliquary with the bones of saints.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
My wizard's on fire.
Yeah.
Oh, Jerry.
So, yeah, depending on your college of magic of choice, you have a wizard to fit the bill. I think it's quite nice.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Funky.
Oh, that's beautiful. The books.
Grey Wizard for the win.
Oh,
I do love a grey wizard. I think
everybody does.
Awesome. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be good if you could paint the outside bit in two parts in a transparent resin on that last one?
Oh yeah. Shield.
Yeah, that'd
be really cool. That'd be awesome.
Depends how they break down.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got to say as well, one of the big things I think with wizards is having like good beard games.
Oh yeah,
all of these wizards have got good beard game, apart from that guy. But then I don't
say that, and the internet laughs at you.
Yeah,
but he's not technically a wizard, is he?
No,
he's a necromancer scumbag.
Yeah, definitely a necromancer.
You could say Amnestus all you want, but I'm your necromancer.
Yeah. I study the law of death. You mean you're a necromancer? No.
I just like to play with dead bodies.
Filth.
Wow.
See,
the mask. That's beautiful. I like it with the mask on.
Yeah.
Cheeky metal. There's a jade.
Jade wizard, yeah.
Wildebeesties.
Druid type.
That means, did they skip Bright? I suppose he could be Bright.
Well, because you've got Bright is fire, and then you need Heavens, don't you? So
I'm trying to remember the way. Was it
So
Heavens used to have the acolytes that you had to form up into a pyramid before you could actually generate any magic levels for your wizard?
Wow.
It was such a pain in the backside. It's like, here's my wizard, and here's his 14 acolytes to stand behind him, so he's now level 4.
Wow.
Completely inappropriate. So nobody ran them.
That's crazy.
Well, it might have been light one. Actually, just been light wizards. Anyway, yeah, that sounds about right.
Engine looks interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's based on, I may get the name wrong, I think it's the Luminarch of Hish or something, or it might be something like that, which was,
They were upgrades for the battle wagon.
Mm-hmm.
There was 2 variants. One has the planetary layout, and then the other one, the Luminarch, had all the lenses to turn it into a las cannon.
Was that the same thing that was also used? Was it the same model kit for Volkmar the Grim, or was that a different one? I can't remember. Because they did like a new version of him, didn't they, for 8th edition? But
I think it was. I think they were all part of the war wagon. Triple sort of doohickey.
Yeah.
Everybody's so happy.
The guy with the candle on his head.
I was just thinking.
Yeah, you're reading your scroll. It's just like drip. Drip.
Also, never need to stand at the bottom level of a bookcase and just burn all the books above. But yeah, like everyone loved. Like, I mean, I particularly loved the free company set from back in the day. It was the basis. Were great. The basis of every Mordheim warband for anyone who did one of the Empire ones, and also was just a solid kit bashing kit for all your Empire soldiers and that kind of thing. So having them back in some form, I think, is really nice as well.
That's it, because it started as Mordheim, and then they went, we'll add an entry to the Empire list. And we'll sell this as a regiment set as well.
Yeah.
Interesting fellow.
Fun stuff. And the fact as well that they've taken the time with the 3D printing to try and make all of them feel a little bit like individuals as well, which I think is quite nice. So, you're making a unit of 10 of these to use in your games, they'll all look individual. But because of the varied poses and that kind of thing, even when you scale that up to having 20 of them in a unit, for example, I think you'll still not feel like there's dupes in there, which I think is quite nice. So yeah, I mean, he's cool. I mean, he looks like he's so yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're running some Kislevites, away you go. So,
yeah. I'm trying to remember what the guards were called, but I can't.
Oh,
the internet will help me.
Probably
It's just called the Ice Guard. Really? That seems very dull in comparison to everything else. Very dull.
Yeah.
Choo-choo on a war wagon.
Tank.
But yeah, I mean, as just scrolling down, you'll see that there's just so much stuff in here for you to dive into and have fun with. And they've done sort of Empire-based stuff for Warhammer. They've done, there you go, Arcane Cannon.
Oh, wow.
They've done vampires. They've done the undead, as we saw. They've done chaos. They've done some slightly more Bretonian-styled stuff as well. Well, not Bretonian, I suppose you'd say.
Oh, wow.
They've done your kind of Monty Python-esque characters as well, which is quite nice. Yeah. You have brave Sir Robin in your army if you really wanted to, which I think is quite nice. Yeah. I actually think, nice. I think way back in the annals of time, we did actually look at Highland Miniatures as part of a news story because they produced these.
I remember that.
Yeah.
It does look familiar, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I always think it's really hard to sculpt a werewolf as well.
I think that was the exact conversation we had.
That might be exactly
we liked.
Yeah.
I feel sad for not the werewolf, but the poor people whose houses have sunk into the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody sold off some swampland.
So it gets some out of it.
It's unfortunate.
The
very nice detail on these.
Oh, wow.
Kislev-esque stuff are probably some of my favorites.
Yeah.
Could you make a really interesting force? Be very good Northern Alliance.
Ooh.
I like that it's the female warrior unit as well because it kind of matches up with the whole idea of the Tsarina, the Ice Queen leading the way and all that kind of thing as well. So, very nice.
Are there any Frost Maidens?
Again, some left-handed people. How are you not beaten out of
that? Jerry can't deal with this.
No.
I think I remember my grandma telling me when she was at school she tried to use her left hand and did get hiding for it.
Oh yeah.
But it was my generation. We're still getting beaten for it as well.
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. It's the only way they'll learn. Evil people with their left-handedness. That's the reason they're called sinister. That's a really nice statue there. I like that.
It is. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, we were talking about statues earlier. Put that in the middle of your town square.
Yeah.
You could mess it up a little bit, chip some bits off and things if you really wanted to as well.
I mean, because you're doing 3D printing, you could do like a processional of them.
Oh, yeah. That could be cool. Yeah.
Wow, that's...
Oh, do you get the building too, I wonder?
I'd assume because they've mentioned it, you probably
And
do.
the
St.
cathedral,
Helens
yeah.
Cathedral.
There you go.
Wow. $10. That's not much.
That's,
wow.
Yeah, very affordable.
Wow.
I think it's
how modular it is.
well. I don't know if it's modular or if it's just an inset piece.
Mm.
Potentially.
If it is just that end, in which case you can make a very square building. Oh, there you go.
Oh no, it is.
There's some.
Use those to make little pillars and towers on your tabletops.
Cool.
Yeah, very nice.
You can really modify a lot of them.
Flying
Do yourself
buttresses, everybody's favorite type of buttress.
Yeah, do yourself a full abbey table.
Yeah.
Steam tank.
Well, that's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, steam tanks.
Land ship.
That's bananas.
It's even got a neat little crew to go on the top as well. I think neat was
And a
nice.
furnace.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very nice. They're shirtless, of course they are.
Yeah. Although one of the guys has managed to get his
Yes, his puffy bits.
his flash
His slings on,
silks
yeah.
on. Yeah.
Got to know who's in charge.
For the ladies.
I keep remembering something that like war wagons were filthy in Warhammer or something. You just couldn't kill them.
They weren't
in the day.
filthy. What you could do was shoot the horses off, which would leave a small tower filled with experimental weaponry in the middle of your opponent's half of the table. Because yes, it was very difficult to damage the tower itself. You could kill the crew and kill the horses pulling it. So yeah, having a couple of war wagons going up the side, and then it didn't matter if your opponent killed them off because they just sat there. In
But,
fact, you generally wanted the horses dead because otherwise
That's
there's
true.
a chance they could run off. That would be terrible.
Before we dive too deep into their web store, because there is a lot of stuff here, I wanted to focus in on their Patreon for this month and also next month. Because this was the thing that drew me to them. Oh, what a surprise. They're now working on a Dwarven army as well.
Oh, wow.
So the Sons of Ymir are being updated with a full new set of miniatures. This month's releases, so July, is focused around your core units. So you've got your Dwarven warriors armed with hand weapons and shields, so axes and hammers, as is the way.
Yeah.
But then you've also got your double-handed warriors. So if you want great weapons, you can use them as well. And then, of course, they've worked on some sort of thunderer quarrelers as well. So you've got your guns to fire at your enemies from afar, because what do dwarves do best? Sit at the back and shoot things, just like the Imperial Guard. But yeah, it's a very awesome selection of different options there for July. That's a real shame that those pictures aren't loading. That's really weird.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. They're just really
He
big.
was sleeping.
They're your stereotypical dwarf nose and beard on there,
Oh, yes.
isn't it? It's great. Beard game is very much strong.
Yeah, and again, sort of fitting in nicely with that kind of 8th edition aesthetic for the Warhammer dwarves. But of course, you could use them to make pretty much any army for any game, if you so desired. And the prints have come out very nice as well. Maybe those images will actually load. We shall see.
I'll skip ahead.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, nice.
So as you can see, really awesome. Fits nicely onto those lovely square bases.
Sure.
Ranks up well as well, which is important. And then you can have the little kind of stakes in front of them as well to keep them from harm, if you so desire.
Yeah, cool. Always protect your infantry. Huh? I find the best way to protect my infantry is by putting a lot of cannon and organ cannon between them.
Oh, well, yes. Yeah.
I love
the champion with the helmet underneath his arm. And I think the beard work is fantastic. It's a
shame most of his beard's hidden by those massively plaited nose hairs.
Yes. He didn't get the clippers out for that one.
Oh, you should pluck.
August then brings a whole host of new releases as well. So they're going to be working on heavily armored dwarves to come out in August, and also miners, which are going to be the second part of the options.
They don't look that young.
Very good. I see what you did there.
Very well done. I love the little additional components for your base.
I think they're
Oh,
great.
that's
If you're
lovely.
doing these for like Kings of War or something,
Oh,
base
yeah, yeah.
colors are the way to go.
Yeah, because obviously with Kings of War, it's all just around the base sizes, not necessarily about having the units in the middle. So you can do, as Justin says there, and create little dioramas, which I think is really nice. Maybe even fill that chest in the middle with all of the booty that you've earned from your enemies that you've killed over the years.
Oh no,
And you
goblin
can-
heads.
Yeah, full of
Just
goblin
goblin
heads.
Everybody has spare goblin heads.
What did you find today? A whole host of goblin heads, my dear. So-
Yeah, you just string them up, make sure they know who's boss. Mark
exactly. Yeah.
Candles.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, these folks do amazing things, and even more amazing now. I know that they do more dwarves.
Yeah.
So yeah, when it comes around to the old world coming out for Warhammer Fantasy Battles, I may come back to Sons of Ymir and the Highland Miniatures range, and maybe pick up some of these for myself. I think because they look really,
Got
really,
some
really good.
chisels strapped onto them.
Oh yeah. Got to have your chisels for getting at those gems and making sure everything's fine as you're going down. But yeah.
Or just impale someone's skull with it.
Or just do that. Yeah.
Midwolves.
I think they're not chisels. They're for splitting rocks. You put them in,
That might be it.
widen the gap.
Yeah, I've seen videos of people doing that by hand. It's kind of nuts.
Who do we call him? Did it? Oh, Fred Dibner, legend. That is Fred Dibner. Did it while looking at a
Fred
Welsh
Dibner.
castle. But yeah, Highland Miniatures, that is a stonking set of stuff. If you
Yeah.
fancy your Old Hammer, 9th Age, or Kings of War, definitely worth checking out. Some fantastic looking figures in there, even if they have the wrong Supreme Patriarch. Just saying.
Well,
Yes.
Maybe they'll make the right one for you, Jerry.
Oh, that would be good, wouldn't it?
And then
Feature
make
them
you
again if
3D
they
print
did.
it. That was the
No,
send them
that's
an
not
angry
happening.
letter.
That's never happening. Doesn't matter. I've got the metal version. Don't worry. I'm grand.
of course.
Wonder if
Right.
something Jerry doesn't have.
So, Empire. Empire's one of my oldest armies. It's older than free, in fact. So, shocking.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
Rounding things off for another week, though, we've got a couple of Kickstarters. And the first one is particularly gruesome looking.
Ooh.
Ben, what have you got?
Oh, which one have you got first, Jerry? Which one's first on your list?
Oh, I've got the trench here. At the moment.
Cool. Well, we'll do that one first then.
Okay.
Yes. Cool. So, yes. So the first one of these is Trench Crusade, the Communicant Anti-Tank Hunter. So this is the first couple of miniatures from a little sort of partnership between Mike Francina and James Sheriff of Brass Monkey Games. So Mike Francina has been working on artwork for this world for a little while now. And to give you a little bit of background to it, the idea is that during the First Crusade, the Knights Templar discovered a demonic artifact beneath the city of Jerusalem. They then, because of course they did, got corrupted by it. And their little cult opened a portal between hell and the mortal plane, which I think is obviously the way things go in these kind of games. The church then, over the last 1,000 years, has been sending people into the Holy Land to try and reclaim it and shut down that portal to hell. Hence the reason why we've got this very awesome grim-dark mashup between both medieval sort of fantasy and also that World War II look, and also a little bit of near future as well mixed in there at the same time, which I think is really nice. The first miniatures that they're working on are the Communicant and the Ammo Monk, as you saw earlier, which are everything's 32 mil, but the actual Communicant is about 60 mil tall in total. But they're also working on a bunch of additional miniatures that they've unlocked through stretch goals, including the Combat Medic, who heals you via some very interesting methods, I'm sure. Probably stabbing you with things to make the pain go from one area to somewhere else. You've also got the Trench Pilgrim, which kind of gives you the idea of kind of like your sort of classic soldier from this period, sort of in this game world fighting it out. You've got an Observer, and there's also a Witch Burner as well. So they've done some really awesome stuff with that. But basically, they have been taking this awesome artwork from Mike Francina and turning it into amazing miniatures. All of them are going to be brought to life via Zealot Miniatures, who a lot of people will know worked on things like the really awesome Hero Quest sort of revamp and stuff. And they did that really cool
Boris,
all sculpted by Boris. But the miniatures themselves will then come via Seocast, which a lot of people are familiar with now and has been used by a bunch of people, including Corvus Belli and the like as well. So if you're looking for very crisp and clean, awesome looking sculpts, then this one should be very nice because, I mean, Zealot have a very good pedigree anyway when it comes to miniature design. So it's nice to see them joining in the fun here as well. Yeah. As I say, this is just the start of what they want to try and do. 28 Mag, who a lot of people will know, do stuff kind of like for sort of Warhammer-y stuff and Inquisitor and kit bashing and all that kind of thing, have been very big supporters of this one. And no doubt we'll be seeing a game or something coming up for this in the future, I would imagine, because they love to sort of work with people to create interesting, small, bespoke sort of indie titles and things, which would be really fun. And also, as you can see there, they're working on a new pose for the Communicant as well. So if you don't want sort of lounging around with a gun on its shoulder, you can have him firing that massive rifle into someone's face and blasting a demon to pieces.
Wow.
So yeah, some very cool stuff that is very sort of indie in the most indie sense. And I think there's about 3 days left from when you're seeing this one on this campaign for you to dive into and have fun with. So,
I'd really like them to go for the kneeling.
I think that would be very cool.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
I know the temptation would be it's just a quick resculpt of the upper torso to have him firing from a standing position. But look at the size of him. Kneeling down, that barrel would be at head height for most things. And sure, isn't that a great way of doing it?
I think it would still add to that sense of scale and size that you have against the Ammo Monk as well, which I think is quite cool. So,
Filthy Knights of St. John. Yeah, that is a cracking little Kickstarter. From small acorns, massive demonic things grow.
Exactly.
That's what they tell me.
Yeah. You know, go to the Holy Land, open portal to hell, look at your mates. Yeah. Here, lads, this chaosy stuff, this is pretty damn good.
And we have Reign in Hell, which is a game all about demons that is out at the moment, which you could always throw these into and do some tweaking with if you wanted to. And there's also Idols of Torment coming up, which, you know, has its own aesthetic and things, but these could easily work in that if you wanted to get a game for them before something, you know, proper comes out, perhaps for Trent Crusade or something.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
100%. Who knows where they will lead us next?
Exactly.
But rounding out the Kickstarters and the show for this week, we have some samurai.
Yeah, so Fireforge Games, who folks will know have done a lot of stuff in the historical sphere. Deus Vult was a game from back in the day that everyone really, really enjoyed. I think a lot of people still play it, actually, which is really cool. Very good Crusade-style game, so they did a whole bunch of miniatures for that. They've also dipped their toe into the worlds of fantasy and created dwarves and humans and undead. But they are back on Kickstarter right now with The Samurai Wars, as Jerry was saying, which is...
Samurai!
Samurai! You do have to say it in a proper way, I think.
Yes.
But this is their look at creating a new set of multi-part plastic miniatures for your samurai battles on the tabletop. So, we'll do a rundown.
Are there pictures of the samurai?
There are pictures of samurais just going through there, you see. So, they're working on Ashigaru Warriors with Yari and Naginata, Ashigaru Shooters, I'm sure they'll change the name of that set eventually, with Tepu and Yumi, so bows and guns. You've got Samurai Warriors, so in the proper samurai armor, armed with Yari, Naginata, and Katana. Samurai Shooters with the Tepu and Yumi, so you've got guns and bows once again, but with heavily armored samurai. Then they're doing Mounted Samurai as well, with Yari, Katana, and Yumi. So you can have horse archers as well, which is really nice to see. And also you've got spears and swords there too. But then they're capping things off with another fun set, which is a set of warrior monks, which are going to be armed with Naginata, Tepu, and Yumi. So I've said a lot of words there. But basically means we're going to get samurai warriors armed with swords, spears, deadlier spears, guns, bows, and everything else in between, which I think is really awesome. In addition to working on the core infantry, which you can see here, Jerry's having a look at, they're also going to be doing a bunch of special characters that are, big name for a lot of people who love their samurai period warfare. So you've got Date Masamune, Takeda Shingen, and also Nobunaga Oda. Pretty much everybody probably knows Nobunaga Oda, I would imagine, bringing firearms and all that kind of thing to Japan and that kind of thing, which is kind of cool. So if you're looking to play basically any samurai game, I think this is going to be the place to go if they manage to get the funding and get these worked out. As I say, they've done a really good job with a lot of their plastic sets over the last couple of years, especially when they've kind of come to their newer sort of fantasy stuff. I think they've really hit on sort of how to bring those to life, and a lot of their sort of more recent medieval kits have actually come together really nicely as well. I know a lot of people will use their Swedish warriors and that kind of things in their medieval games. But yeah, I think these are looking amazing. And once again, it will be really fun to see what they do as the range grows and they get a few more funds in the pot.
Yeah. I would quite like the fact that they've decided to do plastic monks as well.
Yes.
Because there are plastic samurai mounted and foot out there already. But generally, if you want monks, then you're going to go for metal or resin, which not everybody likes for some reason.
Well, nobody's rocking about with a Tetsubo. Got to break those horse legs.
Well, you never know. Maybe that'll be in stretch goals. That would be very cool. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, as Jerry was saying, like there is a lot of samurai stuff out there at the moment, but I think this will give people a lot of like a single place to come and buy a whole bunch of plastic stuff if they get the funding. I think it's quite nice because it's not quite funded. It's just off. I mean, by the time you're watching this, it probably will be funded. You never know. But they've been working on this one very hard for the last couple of months and things. And they also scale quite nicely with the existing range, as we saw in the kind of scale comparisons and stuff. So, they're not going to look out of place alongside Steel Fist and all those kind of things as well, if that's the direction you want to go. But yeah, they're also working on a set of rules for the Samurai Wars. So if you're interested in playing their game and their sort of imagined samurai period warfare on the tabletop, then the beta rulebook is going to be available to backers once the campaign is finished, I think. So because they're still tinkering away at the moment. But yeah, that could be really cool as well.
I think it's more massed battle.
Yes.
Rather than that one should be interesting to see how it goes. I know they've joined on with Fighting Hedgehog for Clash of Katanas. So if you're after more a skirmish version, you can actually get the rule books through this campaign as well for that. So yeah, interesting how things go in sort of cycles, and we're just seeing the sort of
very much so, yeah,
glass of samurai coming through.
I like that they show the breakdown on how the models go together. It's a nice little touch.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always nice seeing what they're doing and what's coming next from them.
Very detailed campaign.
Yeah.
I've just seen the little bit of the side at how big it was.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, fantastic stuff. If you are interested in fleshing out a faction for that period, it's probably a great way to go. I imagine they'll probably tack in some resin characters as well. They seem to do that a lot, where they have the hard plastics and then occasional resin sort of character models or single figures that wouldn't make sense to have on a sprue. So it'll be fascinating to see. You might get your Tetsubo then.
Very, very.
Yeah, excellent stuff. And there is 23 days left on that.
Yeah, so 23 days left from the time you're watching this. And as I say, they're just off. So if you want to make things a reality, make sure to dive in and pick those up for yourself.
Yeah, plenty of time to get involved with that. And plenty of time to get involved with our competition to win a copy of the Bolt Action Island Assault starter set. Drop a comment below. Let me know what your favorite 7-day is. Jack is obviously the correct answer. If you fancy joining us on Sunday for the XLBS, we'll be over there with our Cult of Games members, whittering on about what we've been getting up to in the past week or so, hobby-wise, and taking a look at what people in our community have been hobbying on as well. Otherwise, we'll see you back here next Friday for more of the same. Until then, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.